for a non-weight bearing open chain strengthening exercise for the soleus. I can be seated in a chair or seated on the floor. I love using a loop band, it has a lot of resistance. You could also just use a regular TheraBand wrapped around the foot, holding both ends. But since I have this one, I'm gonna go ahead and with a bent knee, hold on, and I'm just pressing down into plantar flexion and resisting into dorsiflexion. So kind of like pressing down the gas pedal as if you were driving a car. For the gastroc, same thing, open chain, non-weight bearing, my leg is straight and I'm pressing into plantar flexion and resisting. Pressing into plantar flexion and resisting. Great for range of motion and a nice little stretch at the end too as you pull back. We all know the calf press on the Wunda chair, which is a great strengthener for the soleus muscle because the knee is bent in that exercise, pressing up against the seat of the chair, the foot being on the pedal, pressing down and up. That's going to focus on the soleus muscle, the one joint muscle. If you don't have a Wunda chair, there's another way you can do this seated calf raises. So just simply sitting in a chair, lifting up and down. At this point, it's really more for just range of motion, right? Just lifting up and down on my tiptoes, but I can feel it. And then if I want a little bit more, I can lean my body weight down onto my thighs to make it, to add more resistance for this one. Okay, pretty obvious one that everyone knows, calf raises. So in standing, you can hold onto the wall for balance. I'm just gonna lift my heels up and lower my heels down. Lift up and lower down. If I'm wanting to focus on strengthening one of them, and especially in the eccentric phase, which is quite functional for things like gait, then I'm gonna go up with both and then down with just the one. Up with both, down with just the one. To progress that, we do the same thing on a step, so we can increase the range of motion. So now I'm standing on a step. I want to start with my calf and my gastroc in a stretched position. Then I'll lift up and lower down with control. Lifting, lowering down with control. And for the eccentric version, of course, lift up with both, remove one, and down with one. Up with both, down with the one. Now for the soleus, we have to remember that it is the one joint muscle, right? So it doesn't cross the knee joint. So to focus on that, we need to have bent knees. So in standing, we can bend the knees and then do calf raises this way. So we're lifting and lowering, lifting and lowering. Eccentric version, lift with both. I'm gonna switch sides this time, lower with the one. Keep the knees bent, lift with one. Lift with both, lower with the one. Lift and lower. And then to progress that, same thing, up on the step. Knees are bent. I'm gonna try to get low. I'm quite tight in my ankles, as you can see. There's not a lot of dorsiflexion mobility there, but I'm gonna lift up and down with my knees bent to focus more on my soleus. And then the eccentric version, I go up, remove one, lower down, up, remove one. Also very important to make sure that we stretch the calf muscles. So the wall stretch is a great one. Pressing against the wall, runner's stretch, one leg is forward, I'm pushing into the wall, pressing my heel down to the floor. That one would be a gastroc stretch. And then if I bend the knee, then I'm getting more of a soleus stretch. You can do the same thing on the step to increase the difficulty of the stretch. So from standing up here, of course, I could let both heels hang down, or I can do one at a time. It's actually a little more effective probably to do one at a time. And then you can do the same thing with the bent knees to get the soleus, both bilateral and unilateral.
Flows very nicely from the lunge series on the chair. So if you're doing your forward lunge and your backward step down, you can flow right into it. So I would recommend whatever spring load you use for backward step down. For me, I like 3-3, right? So both sides on the third level. I don't generally like to use the handles, but for this one I'm going to go ahead and get set up in the right position with the handles and then let them go when I actually do the exercise. So I'm going to come down to where my thigh is about parallel to the floor. So my pedal's about halfway down. My back leg is completely straight, and then I want my kneecap pointing directly over my second and third toes, and I want my weight in my heel so that my knee is over my ankle, not over my toes, which is going to set up for the best knee stability and the least amount of compression on the knee joint. Once I'm set and ready, I can bring my arms up to balance. Then I'm simply plantar flexing and dorsiflexing that left leg. So of course I'm again strengthening the gastroc, right? And I'm working the mobility of that ankle as well, going into plantar and dorsiflexion, which would be good for someone who had an ankle sprain possibly. And then on my right side, I'm really working my gluteus medius because I'm having to stabilize my hip and knee joint. I'm working my balance and proprioception, my upright posture, and of course my core stability. All in this one pretty simple exercise.
So exercises for the gastroc on the reformer. So of course, you all know the footwork on the toes especially would be great for the gastroc. And then obviously calf raises and prances, right? So I'm not going to show you those because I expect everyone knows those, but I will show you a little variation of the calf raises that I think really kind of takes the calf work to a whole nother level, and it's just adding a little bit of rotation in. So I'm going to put on whatever springs, I like it kind of heavy, whatever springs you would have for your regular bilateral footwork. We're going to push all the way out, go ahead and lift the heels up. Then I'm going to, usually I do about 10 regular calf raises just to kind of warm up, and then have the client hold the heels up, bring the heels together, lower the heels down under the bar with the heels glued, separate the heels, and then lift back up. So again, it's heels pull together, lower, separate, lift. One more time this way, heels together, lower, separate, and lift. I would do that around 5 times, and then reverse direction. So now from the up position, we go down in parallel, pull the heels together, squeeze the heels together as you lift, and then separate. Lower, together, lift, separate, down in parallel, together, lift, separate. So I'm already kind of feeling that more than I would just after just a few calf raises. Another nice variation for footwork that I like that kind of emphasizes calf work would be the single leg variation that I teach in my Injuries and Pathologies course. So I'm going to hold one leg in tabletop on the toes of my working leg. I press all the way out and extend both legs. Then I'm going to dorsiflex both feet, plantar flex both feet, and then come back down. So again, we press out, we're in plantar flexion, a lot of calf work right there. Dorsiflex, which is going to take that eccentric control on my right leg in this case. Plantar flex again, both feet, and then come down. So the leg that's moving, the open chain leg, is not getting a ton of calf work, but it is getting this just sort of open chain range of motion, which is also great for the calves. And then of course you would repeat on the other side. Another great exercise for the gastroc is jump board, but we're going to do it with straight legs. So instead of having the knees bent, as we do normally with jump board, which is going to focus more on the quads, with the straight legs, we're going to feel it more in the lower leg. Kind of all the lower leg muscles, but I'd say especially the calves, since one of their main jobs is propulsion for jumping and then also controlling eccentrically when we land from a jump. So I have on basically the same springs that I would use for jump board, regular jump board, a red and a blue. I'm going to press my legs all the way straight, start with my heels lifted, so I'm already in plantar flexion, and then from there I just do little hops. So I'm not getting a lot of air, as you can see, but I'm already feeling it in my lower leg muscles, specifically in my calves. You could do one leg at a time, of course, to progress it. For the soleus or soleus on the reformer,
You can basically just do a bent knee version of the footwork and calf work like we did for the gastroc. So again, I like it pretty heavy for this. So I'm gonna go ahead and lie down. And then what we'll do is we'll push, so on the toes, of course, because we're working plantar flexion. So we'll push all the way out. Then I like to come about quarter to a half of the way down. So I'm in an isometric sort of hold with my quads. That makes it nice for the quads as well. Then I'm going to just plantar flex and dorsiflex. Plantar flex and dorsiflex. So controlling the descent and pressing up concentrically, lowering down eccentrically. Because my knees are bent, now I'm biasing this more towards my soleus rather than my gastroc. Now it's pretty easy to do both. So if you really want to focus on one, what's even better is keeping one leg off, which really kind of gets the core working, and then doing this unilaterally. Whew, this is challenging. And then to stretch the calves on the reformer, I'm sure you all know the calf stretch that we do after the prances. I usually hold the heel down, and I love to manually stretch clients if I can by sitting at the edge of the foot bar and gently pulling on their heel. But you don't always have someone there to do that for you. So a way you can do it yourself is carefully take the foot that you're not stretching, hook the toes underneath the bar, and kind of pull the bar towards you, and then that'll pull you into more of a stretch on the foot that's on the foot bar. And then to stretch the soleus, same idea as with the gastroc, right? So you'd push all the way out at the end of your prances, but then you would bend the knee that you're gonna stretch, and then you could still hook that foot underneath. So I'm pressing my right heel down under the bar as far as I can, and then I'm using my left foot, toes hooked under the bar, to pull the bar towards me, which is giving me more stretch in my right soleus muscle.